In this lesson, I'm going to talk about the second subchapter of the book, still talking about the concept of illness, aging, and death. It's called the simile of the mountain, and a simile is when we compare something to something else. So, in this chapter, the Buddha asks the king a question. He tells a story about a man, maybe a messenger, coming from all four directions, so north, south, east, and west. And he asked the king, what would you do if a man coming from each direction told you, I saw a great mountain high as the clouds coming this way, crushing all living beings? So I think here we have a very powerful image of a huge mountain coming in from all sides to crush us. And what does the king answer? The king answered, what else should be done but to live by the Dhamma, to live righteously, and to do wholesome and meritorious deeds. So we saw in the previous lesson, the Dhamma is the teachings of the Buddha. And meritorious deeds are actions that deserve merit or praise. So good and positive actions. So the king thought that if these mountains are coming in to crush us, why not live our lives in this positive way, doing something good with the time that we have? The Buddha then asked the king a second question. So aging and death are rolling in on us. What should be done? And again, the king gives the same answer. So since aging and death are rolling in on us, what else should we do but to live in this wholesome way and do meritorious deeds? So I think this imagery is extremely powerful. In the first chapter, we already thought about accepting the truth that illness, aging, and death are inevitable. They're something that will happen in our life. And now we have this image of aging and death coming towards us like a huge mountain. And I think this pushes us to really think that our time here is short and maybe we should be in a bit of a hurry to do something good with our lives. So the Buddha goes on to explain that there were kings intoxicated with sovereignty. So in English, we often say that people are intoxicated by success. So just like you can get intoxicated when you drink alcohol, it's the same feeling of being completely consumed with success to the point where you're out of your mind. And the kings were also obsessed with greed, and they won their big battles using subterfuge or wealth. And subterfuge is when we act dishonestly. And I think this passage is a very good metaphor for the modern day as well. So there are many people intoxicated with success, obsessed with greed, and they conquer other people or they get by in business by using subterfuge, dishonesty, and wealth. And the Buddha makes the point that despite all of these things and despite the fact you might win these small battles, you still have no real chance of victory or success in life because it doesn't change the fact that aging and death are rolling in on you like these huge mountains. So I think this chapter motivates us to think about our purpose in life. In the first chapter, we were asked to consider the simple truth that illness, aging, and death are inevitable. They're going to happen to us. And in this chapter, we are asked to think about, if that's the case, how should we live our lives? And sometimes we live as if a magic spell has been cast over us. And we live under this spell of sensual pleasure, wealth, and power. And the realization that we will all grow ill, age, and die leads us to think that maybe there's something good we should do in this life instead of being so intoxicated by these material possessions, by success. And I think this chapter introduces a very important concept in Buddhism, which is the idea of impermanence. So, whatever our present or current prosperity is, our wealth, our success, in the end, it's only temporary, because when we grow ill and die, we can't take any of that with us. So, the only thing we can do in this life is to reap the fruits of our deeds. So, this also introduces the idea of karma. So, finally, some discussion questions to think about. Firstly, why should we not seek happiness in sensual pleasure, wealth, and power? So, since we're going to die anyway, why not live a hedonistic lifestyle full of pleasure? Why should we spend our time doing good deeds at all? And I think the answer to this question lies in this idea of impermanence. So, it helps to think about whether these things such as sensual pleasures, success, wealth, are they really things that we take with us throughout our life or not? Secondly, do you think that being aware of aging and death, so thinking about this powerful simile of these mountains rolling in to crush us, do you think that helps to give us motivation in life to do good deeds? And lastly, how do you think this chapter relates to karma? Does it tell us something about what we can bring to the next life? I think the key to this question is looking at the passage where the Buddha talks about the kings intoxicated by sovereignty and whether they have any chance of success.